Hi, Kyle Davis coming to you again from Infocom 2014. We are actually here at the Chief booth with our friends from Chief. I'm here with Mark Coxon.
Hey.
If you've ever followed him online, you actually be surprised to find he's a lot taller in real life than you might expect. I feel distinctly inadequate here, but that's okay. We are looking, not here to talk about Mark, but here to talk about Chief's mounts here that he's got showing off here. Now, I don't know if you can see, but these are some it's a digital signage mounting display, mounting for displays, and these are real thin bezel monitors like you could get from LG or Samsung, those kinds of places. And but Mark, tell me a little bit about the mounting system, because that's what I liked about it, is the way you can actually see how all of this works. Why don't you tell me about how it works?
So what we did, we went out with integrators and we talked to them about video walls. We traveled with them for about a year, and every time somebody broke his tape measure or threw something through a wall, we took some notes as to why they were upset. And so after a year of doing that, we came out with a prototype. And last year at Infocom, in the back room, we had that prototype here under NDA, and our dealers came out and they red taped that up, and we redesigned it based on that feedback, and actually came out with a mounted DSE. So it's only been shipping since March. It's 3 months old. The main takeaway is measurement. The hard part about video wall was if you had a wall like this, which is a 4x3 wall, you have 12 mounts. So where do those mounts go on the wall? How do I measure them out? How do I make sure they're level? How do I make sure I get them all in plane? Because the wall isn't flat, never is.
Yeah.
So what we did is we did Unistrut. Everybody has Unistrut on their truck. They like using Unistrut already. They asked us for Unistrut, so that's why we built our mount system. So all you have to do with this, you know the width of your wall, you put up a piece of Unistrut on the wall.
So Unistrut is this silver part back here.
Yeah, so you see the silver strut channel in the back. And if you notice, what happens is then our mount just clips right onto that strut channel.
Oh, yeah,
so if I put Unistrut up on the wall, I put a piece of Unistrut up for each of my horizontal rows, right?
Yep.
Now my monitors just clip onto that strut. I can slide those monitors left or right on the strut to get them in the position I want, and then I lock them down with the bolt on the bottom. So that's step one. Step one was getting these rows up. The nice part is the only measurement I need is this height. If I know what the height of this monitor is, my next piece of Unistrut, if this is a 38-inch tall monitor, my next piece of Unistrut's 38 inches down. Only measurement I need to know. The other thing that we did is we know in a video wall, what if I need to get to this monitor or this monitor to service it? It's really hard to get this monitor off the wall with all these monitors around it. So what we need is a way to pop this monitor out so I can get to this monitor independently of the rest. So what we have, as you can see over here, and I'll pull it over here just to show you, we have a cable release system, right? So if this was a monitor in the video wall, of this cable release, I come over here, it says row 2, column 3. Row 2, column 3, I pop, and the display for row 2, column 3 would come off the wall. So now I have access to this. The other thing that we had to do is the walls are never flat. There's never been a mount before that's had depth adjustment in the mount. So our mount starts at 4 inches deep, and I can independently turn one side or the other of this mount out with toolless knobs so that I can have this degree of motion and pull this out all the way up to 7.3 inches.
That's really cool. I mean, let me tell you, there's a similar kind of display system like this. Really nice thing at the Hard Rock where we're staying in Infocom this year. It looks really nice, but it's ruined because there's about 4 of them that just aren't flat at all, and it kind of bugs me, to be completely honest. I don't know. It's probably just me, but it's probably not actually. I see it, and it annoys me. It doesn't look clean and professional, and so being able to have all of this actually be flat or as flat as possible is really, it makes a difference between looking clean and looking kind of thrown up there.
Correct, and you know that. Anytime that you do a video wall, you will have a client that will inevitably come in with his white glove mother-in-law test, like she does with the dust on your mantle to your wife, right? And he's gonna come in and he's gonna do this. And when his finger hits this edge of this display because it sticks out, he's gonna want you to kick that in that 1/4 of an inch. Before, the way you had to do that was take this off the wall, and if you can't move this one in, you had to move all the other ones out to match it, right? In this case, I'm just gonna come over here and I'm gonna twist this dial 2 cranks, and I'm gonna get a 1/4 inch back out of this monitor. So I can plane these out on the wall. I also have ratcheting roll, so I have a toolless roll, so I can roll the height of this monitor, so I can get it level. A lot of times what happens is too, you get in, somebody's built you a niche, and the carpenter decided to build the niche where it goes away and the niche isn't level. When you put your monitors in level, they look crooked. because they don't match that visual cue of the wall. So if you got that done, you did all your job to level and the carpenter didn't, if I need to turn this up a 1/4 inch to match, I just crank this a couple times and I can move this up and down. Same thing with lateral, I can inch these sideways with these knobs here so that I don't slam monitors together. I can push them in millimeters at a time until they touch. And then I also have tilt on these as well that's toolless. The one last thing that we have in here is that you have access to the monitor. Sometimes you need access to the jacks, so we have the kickstands as well. And then the other thing is, you know, these things don't run on their own. We always talk about content, right?
Right.
I mean, AMX, you guys have Innova boxes. You might have Innova receivers that are pulling video in. You might want to have 1080p per monitor. So you need to have a controller behind each of these running content that are all being switched or coordinated through some video wall system. If you have this, if you look at the way this is, we leave this whole back plane open.
That is nice. Yep.
There is tons of space here to manage equipment, to manage back boxes, to do whatever you want. And our monitor mount is not getting in the way of all the infrastructure, any of the digital players and things that really make the wall work, can all be here. So it's a great product. It's super rigid. That's the other thing. What happens is, and I'll show you on this one because it'll be a little more impressive, I guess. But what we have here, if I go to my cable system, I want to go to row 2. So if I was accessing one of these monitors, I can come here. I turned it off on accident. That's not good. So there's technical difficulties right there, right? But when I come back in to my spot, the mount is rigid. My registration didn't change because I pulled it out. It goes back into that home position. So once you calibrate it, it stays calibrated. So.
Well, that's awesome, Mark. I appreciate you taking the time to tell me about all of this stuff, and mounting is one of those things that we kind of take for granted, but for something like this, it is super important, and the fact that you've made it so easy, I think, is the cool thing, and so I appreciate you taking the time. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks. Turn this one back.